Hello, 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 and welcome to our backyard. Thank you all so much for being here with me this morning. If you haven't been outside yet, the weather is fantastic. It is that cool, dry air. It is that as the sun comes in, the birds are exploding. I mean, they are just everywhere. I am just enjoying that part of it so much. All of the cool and interesting insects, the dragonflies, the butterflies, the hummingbirds. Bird's not an insect, that's a bird. But I am super excited to show you guys around the garden. I was standing on the porch just a few minutes ago talking to you, Joe, and mentioning what a magical place this is, you know, and how amazing it is to be here and watch the birds and know that like those birds are eating the mosquitoes, and then those dragonflies are eating the mosquitoes, and then you know the lizards are eating the whitefly. I mean, just like the whole interaction, the whole like microclimate space that we've created out here is just really magical and amazing, and I'm so grateful to have it in my life and to have the opportunity to be a part of this, and to know that garden that I'll show off again in a little bit over there. I just did a circle like, woo, party time, everybody, party time. That garden over there was pretty much, I mean, it had been planted and it was still had its perma. There were still plants that were perma, but I had really been feeling pretty sick last summer, and so I hadn't really paid any attention to that garden over there, and it still had chickens out on it. The chickens were kind of tearing it up and everything, and now it's just this way overgrown, massive, beautiful sanctuary, and I'm going to show you guys over there again. And then this garden was just a flat piece of dead clay soil that the chickens had almost given up on because there wasn't anything for them to eat. And now, after just one season of this, the spring and then the summer, I actually have a lot of really cool stuff growing over here. So the very first thing that you are getting to see is something I'm really excited to tell everybody about, and I'll show you some more of these plants. Now, this plant isn't the most amazing plant, which I think is always so funny, because when the plant is not as healthy, it puts on lots and lots of babies, and I always think that it's like the mama plant saying, okay, I'm not doing too well here, I better make lots of babies so that I can spread my seed and make sure that my generation still exists, which is in itself is an interesting like evolutionary way of nature that I absolutely love. So what this is it's the roselle plant, and I'll show you another different one here in just a second. This one, I believe, is actually the variety that's called the Thai roselle. And what you eat, you can actually eat the leaves, and you can eat these, they're called calyxes. And they've even, if they open up like this, and they've got these little berry pods inside of them. And the flowers are these really pretty, they look like okra flowers. Now, this particular plant can grow really, really, really well in our region, and it's surprising to me that it's kind of a new plant that we're all starting to talk about because of the fact that it has this ability to grow so well in our region. A high commodity that here in the United States we actually import. So if we can grow it ourselves, and we're importing so much of it, then I'm hoping that more and more of our, maybe our local farmers will start to take it a little bit more seriously. The chickens, I think they know when we go on camera, and then they start yelling at us so that they can get their attention. This plant is related to okra, which we all know grows really, really well in our region. Hibiscus, we also know grows really well in our region. This is actually, some people refer to it as an edible hibiscus. It's actually the roselle. And then in addition to that, it's also the related to cotton. And we all know we can grow lots of cotton down here, right? That we will grow, more gardens will start growing. It's a fantastic addition to kitchen gardens. Let's talk about what you can use it for. So this is actually harvestable. So I can pull these little calyxes off. Any of this size is a pretty decent size. You can let them go, or if you're going to do a big harvest all at once, you can pull them all off. But you're looking at these pretty little calyxes. I don't even know what a better way to say that is. And the seed pod is actually this little thing on the inside. Now, what I started doing last couple of years, as I was just growing just a few of these, was I began putting them in the, I want to flip around so I can show you this one too. I began putting them in the freezer so that I could hold on to them and get enough of them to actually create something with. But this year I've got quite a few more, so I'm excited to really do something interesting with them. But again, put this little handful right here in the freezer and then add them all up inside there. Now, a few things. The biggest commodity use of roselle is for coloring, food coloring, lip coloring, different products like that. But then it can also be used at a lot of farmers markets in Kauai. I learned a lot about this plant because they use it to make jellies, jams, and tea. You all know about the red hibiscus tea. Some folks call it, I think, the Jamaican tea, but it's a red tea, a hibiscus tea, and that's what they use, is this. This is the roselle. So you can also throw this into your smoothies. Also, if you've frozen them and you want to just throw them in, they're very healthy for us and good. So this is another variety of it that grows a little bit bigger and bushier, has a little bit different leaf shape, but it will also as well. So, and then you'll notice that I did get this plumeria in a big nice pot. So I didn't want to leave it here permanently because truth be told, we're transitioning towards the farm at this point. So any big plants are not going in the ground here anymore. They're going in the big pots. I also want to make sure I can protect it from potentially a freeze as well. So showing off some of what's happening in this garden, this little pepper plant is really starting to put on flowers. I expect to start having flowers now that we're setting into the 85, potentially sustained 85-degree temperatures or below. Overnight temperatures are low. This is a tomato plant that's been here a while. I expect it to start setting flowers and setting fruit here in the next few weeks because that's where we are with all of what's going on right now. And then also our little snapdragons over here are all starting to put their blossoms on again. So if you had snapdragons in the ground and you left them through the summertime, then you'll start to see some flowers there. And all of our different pollinators are very grateful to have all of these different flowers. I can tell you that's why the birds and all the, see this one right here, this one will start to put its little flowers on. It's already got flowers, but I might actually get flowers that 85 and under consistently. That's what we're looking for. Overnight temperatures that stay below 85 degrees. That's what we're looking for here with this new weather shift. So you can see all of these different flowers that have growing in here. All of the different pollinators are being attracted, the different birds, all the different things are being attracted into this space, and then they're interacting and helping me to create the most lazy, as I like to call it, lazy gardening sanctuary. Gives me the ability to just let things be as they are intended to be, but it's beautiful, and I also harvest from it. So I'm letting this okra, I'm letting a lot of this okra stay on because we've had so much okra this year that we're not jonesing to get a bunch of okra, although I can still get this little baby right here, but I can also let this dry out completely. And that's the best place for okra to dry out so that you can get the seeds, is to let it dry on the actual plant like everything else. And so it's a good way to start getting some of your seeds for okra for next season. Of course, you can see some more of this Thai roselle down here, and I can pull off some of these as well here, all of these different things as well. Now, I've got something super fun and excited. I was very excited when I came out, and I've been pointing out this winter squash vine that's been growing and wondering, what is it? What's it going to grow? How's it going to do? Well, as it grew that way, it did ran into a problem, and the vine stopped growing over there. And I thought, well, I'm probably going to lose that plant at this point. But nope, hardy little plant that it is, it took off with another vine, went over here, and voila, look at that. That is a tromboncino squash, and they are delicious, y'all. I absolutely love them. You can harvest them young like that, so harvest them like a summer squash, or you can harvest them like a winter squash and let it go all the way yellow. And we've made some really delicious things. We talked about it on one of the podcast episodes, the tromboncino and the different things that we made with tromboncino. Hey, look what I missed over here. A cucumber. That's funny. It's not, I didn't even know there was a cucumber plant still growing over here. It's always fun to find things. So back this direction, you can see I've got this tomato plant that's really taking off in here. It's starting to put lots of flowers on. So eventually I'll have some tomatoes as the temperatures, like I said, stay consistently cool. These are all my little baby starts that I'm working on. Some make it, some don't. This Asian, I've had a hard time with this Asian long eggplant. I have not had a good set. They germinate well, but then the baby plants don't exist well in our area. So that's what you have going on over here. And then as I make my way back over here, I've got that another side of that. I'm so excited about the tomatoes I'm gonna have off of these vines from last season. This is when I find that I grow the best tomatoes, is this time of year. So, and there goes one of my hummingbirds. Yay. Okay, so I have lots and lots, so much to talk about today, right? Can you tell? I have lots and lots of interesting birds and hummingbirds, and are loving all of the red flowers, and they're loving all the cool stuff that I have going out here for them. But I also have some cool stuff for me in addition to the amazing tromboncino. And let's just remember, we just went through a hellacious summer, right? But we still have stuff to harvest from the kitchen garden because of this permaculture style of growing. So I've got that tromboncino. I've got some okra if I want it. I've got all different kinds of the hardier greens, moringa. I can harvest from my okra leaves if I want any of that green. So I've got some greens still that I've even got some kale that I'm able to harvest right now if I want to. And then I also am starting to see my citrus come on. I bet you are too. If you've got a lemon tree, grapefruit tree, any of that, you're starting to see your citrus turn ripe. And this is a mandarin orange, and I'm very excited. This is its first year to really have any fruit on it. And this tree has been here for about 3 or 4 years at this point. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I also have cantaloupe that's still growing. So here, check out my cantaloupe. It's not quite ready yet. I'm waiting for it to separate. That's the goal. I want this to be able to leave the vine. But also, it's a nice sized puppy. You see that right there? And then here's another wonky one over here. So I believe this is the Hale variety. I think that's the one that ended up doing the best over there. So lots of good fruit going on. And then of course I've got the basil and the tomatoes and the peppers and different types of eggplant. Like I've got an eggplant coming in a little pot over here that's doing really well, starting to put on its flowers too. So let's go back this direction and see what else we're harvesting over here. And let me show you off to the chicken coop and some of the changes that have been made. I was walking around in here yesterday, and the ladies have been so happy. Enjoyed the weather. They've got lots of stuff to eat. When all that rain came down just the other day, it moistened up their soil. So now they're like in here just scratching around and making all this beautiful. So if I literally if I needed to get some compost, I could just come dig off the ground in my own coop and pick up the compost off the floor down in here. So that's really nice. But I've noticed that the chickens are just happy. They're just real happy, and they're all laying hens now. And they happen to actually like to come up to us in a funny way now. I even picked up, look how calm they are. Look how chill they are. And look, thus bathing themselves over here. Happy, happy, happy backyard chickens. Nice overgrown, plenty of places to hide, lots of different types of roaches and things to dig out and play and jump. These are the most spoiled chickens in Corpus Christi, I'm certain. Maybe anywhere. And now they're getting a renovation on their house. So, Joe, tell us about their renovation.
Well, I'm again trying to reuse or repurpose wood rather than go buy a bunch of wood at the box store. So I'm limited in a week as to, from last week's progress to this week's progress as to the wood that I obtain. But this window is built out. I've begun the flooring. This become this entire wall, so I'm reusing some of the pieces that I had to take off to do the expansion, and I think I'm going to have this, ready for them to have a house in about 2 weeks.
Very good. And we have more eggs now, right?
Yeah, we're getting about 3 to 4 a day from those new girls.
So in
They've gotten
addition
older.
to the older ladies of what they're laying?
Correct.
Yeah, very nice. That's awesome. And so now we're able to supply plenty of eggs for ourselves, and then, whatever else we decide to do with those extra eggs that we come across. So I'm loving the chicken coop. I'm loving the birds. All the different birds are so impressive to me. So as you can see here, look, all of these different okra, I'm really just letting them go to seed. I'm really create these pods. The pods will dry and pop open, and then you can pull the pod off And if you can let it seed itself, or you can pop the pod off and collect the seeds and then use them for your own for next year. But if you want to eat, you can still keep eating, because look, I have this small little one back here. So while I'm gone and you're tending to my plants and making sure all my baby plants get watered really, really well, and that they don't get destroyed by potentially a little bit too much rain from a hurricane that luckily looks like it's tracking more north than us, which I'm very, very happy about, because I've spent 3 months planting baby plants and now I'm leaving to go to Charleston in the middle of so yeah, but but just make sure that they get, taken care of. Joe, again, may I mention? Oh, look at all these red flowers. This is why I have happy hummingbirds. Now, I have a hummingbird feeder, but what makes me the most joyful is the fact that the hummingbirds love to come hang out in my garden. They've got so many red flowers. The honeybees are learning to come hang out in my garden. They are loving it. Look how beautiful some more of this roselle that I mentioned earlier. And look how that's bushing up and creating a nice bushing space. My datura has been a very, very, very successful plant. I've got one here. I've got one over in the fire pit. You saw it over in the new garden. I believe that's part of the reason why I'm having so much success with drawing in the different honeybees, and I needed the honeybees.
And moths.
Moths, yes, the moths come at night, yeah.
But they're fertilizing at night.
Yeah, they are, absolutely fertilizing. They're pollinating.
Pollinating.
They might be doing some fertilizing too, I suppose, just leaving a little protein behind. Plant from this last year. So now this is the one that got planted late, and it was kind of dying in a pot, and I put it in probably either September or October of last year, just stuck it in the ground so it wouldn't die, and now it's this big masterpiece. It has so far given me about 4 eggplants, those long kind of white and purple one, but I expect that this year, as these temperatures are cooling, that we start to see more and more and more. You can already see one is starting to set right there, so that'll turn into an eggplant potentially. And then I have this brand new one that's new from this season of planting, and it's growing really well and healthy, and now it's got its first little real baby eggplant on it. So I'm starting to see that one produce as well. Here's another one of those not Thai roselles, but a roselle with a little bit different type of leaf, and you can see how it's bushing up in this area. You can see that my though, right? It's worth it. I want to make sure I'm not losing, because I was losing squash plants pretty quickly. As I planted squash plants from July and August, I was losing squash plants fast, growing them. And so I'm like, okay, well, what do I do to fix this problem? So put the sticky traps out. Well, then I also noticed that one thing that would happen is that about 24 hours later, the lizards would be gone. So what that means is that some of my birds that I also welcome are eating the lizards. And that's a part of the natural order of things. And so it kind of calmed me down a little bit more about it, and said, okay, well, now to balance the investment or the efficiency of using sticky traps, does that make sense for us to use? I am starting to notice a little bit more of that white fly action. So as long as my plants keep doing well, I have a lot of little cabbages that are doing really well in the back garden or in the back courtyard area. Broccoli, cauliflower, I've got that. I told Joe that I've got this really pretty, they're Veronica. And the Veronica cauliflower is that geometric shaped cauliflower that you may or may not have seen at the farmer's market. Really interesting shaped cauliflower. I've got that purple cauliflower, that cheddar cauliflower that's kind of a golden color. I've got lots and lots of different types of herbs, parsley, things like that. I'm doing lots of flowers. You can see, let's see. I want to see what they look like over here. Oh, okay, right here. So I've got, this is a good bed to look at, because I'm doing all these different flowers, and this is some zinnias that are going in. And these are like cutting flower size zinnias. So they'll be nice big flowers that I can cut and use inside my house. And then I'm getting my bluebonnets started too. So I would take these bluebonnets right here, and I won't do that now because I'm about to leave Joe behind with my plants to take care of, so I don't want to move any more plants at this point. But you can see that they're starting to put their true leaves on. So once they get their true leaves on is when I move them up to maybe something like this, like a 6-pack like this. And then when I'm ready to put them in the ground when I get back, that's what we're working on. Some of you guys might start putting your things, especially seeds, in the ground even before I get back, because of the rain that we're about to have. And make sure that next week, after the rain comes and then it passes through, that you get out there and get those big bulking weeds, those nasty obnoxious weeds that you don't want in your garden. Get those out, pull them out. The ground will be soft and nice. Make sure some people may even be putting seeds in the ground right now knowing that rain's coming tomorrow and the next day. I'm just about to go out of town because I decided to leave town in the middle of a hurricane, because who wants to be here in the middle of a hurricane, right? Anyway, okay, so that's really all I have for today. I love you guys. Enjoyed all of the Sundays that we've had together. We're pulling around to the end of the year. Can you believe we're pulling around to the fall of 2020? What a weird year, right? We are going to be launching episode 3 of Dinner Table Talks. It is a fantastic episode. I know I say that every week, but our level of amazingness and ability and just flow and conversation has just gotten really, really, really seamless and nice. And the other thing is, some of you may have heard me mention last week that I was taking this class called Heal, and was inviting you all out to really heal from some past traumas, and that I believe that that's a big part of what's happening right now in our world, that we're all needing to. I think that's a big part of what 2020 has given to some of us, is the idea that it's time for us to heal and move beyond some of the things that we've continued to depress. Well, we talk a little bit about that on the podcast, and I get really open and frank. And then we also talk about my amazing adventure over at the Canoli, I hate it when I say it wrong, the Canoli Farm, Canoli Dairy. I'm super excited about that as well. So I hope you guys will tune in, and of course reach out to me if you have any questions, and if you need a garden consultant, I'm happy to help. I also have a class coming up on September the 26th. It's open to a few more people. To get your tickets, get them right now. Send me a DM if you want that. Come learn in my backyard with me. I'm going to show you around, hands-on. We're going to dig in the dirt together. We're going to plant and talk and do all kinds of stuff that really gets you started and gets you motivated and inspired to really get your garden going. I hope this video today inspires you to strengthen your backyard, to get your homestead going, all of that, container gardens, whatever you're doing. I hope this inspires you. I love you. I'll see you all. Have a great Sunday.